Back in 1983, the producers of Fairy Tale Theatre decided to produce Hans Christian Andersen's The Nightingale. And who can blame them? It's by a beloved fairy tale author. It has a lot of beautiful design opportunities, a solid message of honoring art and nature over flash and riches. They cast Oscar, Tony, and Golden Globe Award nominated Mako Iwamatsu. And while he is Japanese and the story takes place in a Danish man's version of fantasy China, well, it was the 1980s, so frankly, they were kind of ahead of themselves, even though they're way behind now. Of course, because it was the 80s, they gave Mako a thankless one liner role and cast the lead singer of the Rolling Stones as the Emperor of China. I'm Liz Gatako. Welcome to Flashback Faerie Tale Theatre. Longtime viewers are wondering, wait a minute, Liz, I thought you were just reposting your old reviews of this series. Well, I was. Turns out this bitch app hates that and kept penalizing me, so here you get a little refresher, although I will be using a lot of my old scripts. How do you like my sexy long lens or orientation or whatever this is called? I thought it would be nice to try it for this series so you could get a better view of the clips. The Nightingale was the second episode of Season 2 of Fairy Tale Theatre, airing on May 10th, 1983. It starred Mick Jagger as the Emperor, woof, Barbara Hershey as the maid, Bud Cort as the music master, Mako as the gardener, Key Luke as the imperial doctor, Edward James Olmos as the prime minister, Angelica Houston as Primrose and Jerry Hall as Pansy, two fairies who truly have the smallest of cameos. The episode was narrated by Shelley Duvall, who also performs the voice of the Nightingale. The script was written by Joan Micklin Silver, and the episode was directed by Ivan Passer. The sets and costumes were inspired by the artwork of Edmund Dulac, who did in fact do some illustrations for a Hans Christian Andersen anthology. So let's recap the plot. An emperor and his materialistic court hear of a mysterious nightingale that has wowed visitors to the country. The emperor brings the bird to the palace with the help of a poor kitchen maid, and its beautiful song enthralls the court despite its humble appearance. But the gift of a mechanical jeweled bird distracts the court, who prefer its appearance and perfect recitation of a reliable song. The nightingale knows when she isn't appreciated and leaves, but the mechanical bird eventually breaks down. And when the emperor becomes ill, it is the nightingale's song that distracts death from taking him. Fairy Tale Theatre sticks pretty close to the original story, but they have to stretch it a lot to get it to fit their 50-minute format. They boost the kitchen maid character to a second lead and age her up. This is a good move for the story's themes of simple beauty versus ornamentation. They also imply that the prime minister is after the crown, though this plot point is rushed. They also just added way too much air to the story, and the pacing is so slow. There's a 3-minute scene of the emperor tasting food. I will say the music is pretty good, which is important for a story set around amazing bird song. The animatronic bird is a little rough looking, but I kind of find it charming. And its looks are a perfect contrast to the snazzy golden automaton. The production design is generally lovely, albeit Hollywood's idea of the dreaded O word. Now, the comedy really doesn't work for me in this episode, which is too bad, because Andersen's story sets up a great mockery of the aristocracy, and there could have been a nice opportunity to lean into that. Things that make you go, yikes. The yellow face casting and racist makeup. Jagger is a caricature, and Bud Cort looks insane. This whole series generally has a huge diversity problem, with a few exceptions that we'll recap down the line. Thankfully, we do, for the most part, avoid offensive accents. In fact, Jagger's British drawl is on full display.
Could it be that I bagged the wrong bird?
Yeah, I'm sure Jagger bagged all sorts of birds. How about some fun facts? The original story of The Nightingale was dedicated by its author to opera singer Jenny Lind, who Andersen was enamored with. He said of her work, "Through Jenny Lind, I first became sensible of the holiness there is in art. No books, no men have had a better or more ennobling influence on me as the poet than Jenny Lind." He then proposed to her with a letter he handed to her on a train, and she turned him down. Then he wrote The Snow Queen, about a boy enamored with an icy goddess. We get it, Hans. You didn't have therapy, you had a knack for prose. My other fun fact is not about the Nightingale at all, but a little behind the scenes Broadway story about Mako Iwamatsu. When Mako was nominated for the Tony for his performance in Stephen Sondheim's Pacific Overtures, his landlord at the time was Broadway star Jerry Orbach, who was also nominated that season for his performance in Chicago. They both lost to George Rose, who won for his portrayal of Professor Higgins in a revival of My Fair Lady. Mako found this out by being woken up in the morning at 4:30 a.m. after the ceremony by Jerry Orbach shouting downstairs, "Hey Mako, what the fuck happened? I can't believe it. We lost to a fucking revival." I love that story so much. I love Jerry Orbach. I love Mako. What a fabulous apartment that must have been. A full episode of The Nightingale is available to watch on YouTube or the Internet Archive. Let me know in the comments what you thought of the episode, and I'll see you next time for Sleeping Beauty.